and welcome back to Mads World. I'm your host Mads, and I hope you've been enjoying the show so far. If you have, please remember to subscribe, rate and review the podcast on your favourite listening platform, and follow me on Instagram. It's at madsworld.mp3. This week, I'm joined by Alex Dean, one of the cast of Prime Video's brand new UK dating show, Lovestruck High. Narrated by high school teen drama royalty herself, Lindsay Lohan, the reality show transports a group of UK singles looking for the one into their very own American high school. This is the first of a few of these special eps, and up next you'll hear my chat with Alex about bad dates in Thai restaurants, sex advice we'd give to our teenage selves, the importance of taking the plunge into new experiences, and much, much more. Hi, Alex.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Maddie.
Oh, thank you for jumping on. I'm so glad we finally got this sorted, because it's been a while since I watched the first episode of Lovestruck High and we met at the press junket. But yeah, it's great to have you here.
About a month ago now?
Yeah. How's it all going since it's launched? It's all really exciting. I was actually watching it earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, it took me forever to actually see myself. It seems to be advertised everywhere, and everyone seems to get a picture on the tube. And the only two tube stations I seem to ever go to doesn't have it there. So I had so many people like sending me photos of it, and I was like, "Oh, that must be great to see." But yeah, it's been fun with the build up. Like the group chat's been going off, as you can imagine. And it's been nice to see everyone's friends, get involved and like post stories about it. So it's been nice. And then obviously a lot of PR events that are all new and exciting, and I think that's something that I've really enjoyed the most, like getting to go to those sort of things.
For sure.
So yeah, it's been enjoyable. This started a new job at the same sort of time it got announced, so it's kind of been a bit of an inconvenience getting in the way of the fun life that I want with my Lovestruck High life.
Oh God! And what made you initially apply for the show?
So I get like all the shows kind of reach out, if I'm honest, but this one stuck out. Firstly, just because it was something different. It was a total different format. I quite fancy myself being a bit of an actor after a few little TikToks. So I was there like, do you know what I mean? That's what, being in a high school, maybe I'm the next Zac Efron. So that's the story I was telling myself. Obviously, we're all deluded, but like that was the reason. Obviously, the representation, because you get a lot of kickback from a lot of these other shows about it not being really inclusive and diverse. So that was really big as well for me. And then also, me having a full-time career, there's some types of shows which I think may not go down too well if they saw me in certain situations with some of the big bosses. So I thought, this seemed a lot more don't want to say PG, but a lot more friendly in that sense, and not career limiting.
I probably
gave it my best go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's probably some areas where I probably gave it my best go to get myself sent to HR, but no, it was all. So there were some big reasons, obviously. Yeah. And then being the first Amazon show as well. Just to have your name down as trying something different. I'm someone that likes to take a risk, try something that's not the norm. Yeah. So yeah, that was probably my big reasons for doing this.
Amazing. And I've got a few more questions. I call this our speed date question round because it's how our listeners kind of get to know you. So first question is, what do you think of dating apps?
What do I think of dating apps? Yeah. Never had them for ages, and then it was just like a boredom thing. And do you know what I realised? I realised 9 out of 10 girls on dating apps from Wandsworth or anywhere South London seem to be drop dead gorgeous. So guess where I ended up moving to?
No way, really?
Not because of that reason, but it was a happy coincidence.
Oh my God. I bet you're loving it down there then. You've set your 1 mile radius and you're good to go.
Yeah, I know. Right swipe galore, I think. But no, so yeah, dating apps wise, like obviously I've heard some really good success stories. Someone I used to live with at university in my second year, met someone through Tinder, and it was kind of like a cliche thing. Oh, Tinder's, you're not going to meet a really serious relationship. Yeah. And they've been together ever since then. And that would have been about 2013. So there is some great stories that you hear from it. And, with all the technology, you may as well make the most of it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, me personally, I don't really like texting, don't really like for me, you're getting 3 voice notes a day at a max. So that's literally it. 'Cause I got uncoordinated thumbs, so texting doesn't really work for me. I like to waffle a lot.
Uncoordinated thumbs.
Yeah, so texting's not really my game. You try and make a joke and make a typo, and it's like, oh god, that's really not landed well. So I don't really use them that much, but I'd be lying if I say I've not put up a profile and done a few right swipes in my life.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it depends what you're looking for as well. I mean, if you're looking for a serious relationship, then there's certain apps that you can find that on. But I mean, if you're looking for like just sex or whatever it is, then that's out there as well. But yeah, it just depends on your motives, I suppose.
Which one are you falling down, Maddie?
I don't know. I really don't know at the moment. I'm in a weird, I'm just so busy. I can't go on dates. I can't do anything because I'm just always at bloody festivals or on a night out. So,
wow, that sounds like the dream. Always at festivals.
It is the dream. But no, I'm just so busy. I'm like, I'd rather just meet someone out because it's logistically just seems easier.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I'm such a social butterfly. There's no weekend where I'm not out. So
yeah.
I'm always bumping into people. So it's just easier that way.
Yeah, for sure. And just back to social media and dating, do you think that social media and Instagram, TikTok, and sort of like the whole chasing followers and uploading things for validation and all those things, do you think that that has changed the face of modern dating?
Yeah, absolutely. In the sense of, you see I see it with TikTok where you just see a lot of styles of videos, which you just think, right, you're doing that because you want your DMs absolutely cloud filled with girls, boys, whatever. But do you really actually want that attention, or is it just validation? Because I think there's a lot of people that will do those sort of videos.
What sort of videos do you mean?
So like thirst trappy videos.
Okay, yeah.
And you just think, right, okay, you want a load of people in your DMs, but is it just for the validation, or are you actually like throwing yourself out there because you want to meet someone? And I honestly think it's the first. And I honestly think people this day and age will remain single.
Yeah.
Because one, they could do that more. Two, it will enhance their profile, like you said, more chance of going viral if they're allowed to do that because they're single and their partner's not like, why are you doing cringy videos like that?
Yeah.
Then they will grow a bigger following. Or for even like TV programs in itself at this day and age. I wouldn't say I've done it as such, but I've been there in the sense of, right, okay, so if I'm going on this show now, then I've got to be single. There's no point me even going out there.
Yeah.
So then you kind of mold yourself into that, right? Well, if I want to be on a TV program, I've got to be single.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big day and age thing now. What a lot of young people looking up at these specific shows might think.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's something that they wouldn't have experienced 20 years ago or whatever, because it's not something people would have had to consider. And there's this concept of FOMO, which is like FOMO, but it's the fear of a better offer. And I feel like lately, every time I meet someone, I'm kind of like, yeah, but they're not exactly perfect or something. So it's sort of like a different version of that. It's like the fear of the better offer being a TV show opportunity or like going viral on TikTok or something.
Do you know what? I can relate to that, to be fair.
Really?
I can relate to it being like, I don't want to use the line like, oh, I'm happy, but it's probably someone that could make me happier.
Yeah.
Because if you live your life doing like that, it's just, you're chasing something that's
not
perfection.
there.
You're never going to find perfection. You're never going to find someone that ticks every single one of your boxes in every situation. And I think I've definitely struggled with that in the sense of you've wanted someone, you've got this picture of like your person you want to settle down with. And I always say, I'm at that age now where the next person I want to be with, I want to settle down with.
Yeah.
And then you set the bar that high that you find things wrong with people. And it really is like a relationship. You should be like adapting to one another. Like if you find someone that's exactly what you want, then it's just, it's not how relationships work. Like you don't get tested. Like it's just all about the being tested, going through experiences, going through challenges. And you normally find that with someone that isn't the same as you, that might be a bit messy. When you're really clean, you might be a bit messy, and then it's how you develop as a person and like build on that's how you build your relationship and find out who you are and change the person. Because you don't want to be the exact same person you were 5 years ago. You look back at yourself 5 years ago and you've changed because you've had different experiences, you've met new people, and there's people that have come into your life that you thought you might not have been friends with. Like there's people from the show that I probably never would have crossed paths with in my life. And now we speak every day, and they're like, I'd consider them one of my closest friends. And it's just like, if I wouldn't have been in that situation, I might not have seen them.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like if you wouldn't put yourself out and maybe give someone a chance that doesn't tick every single box of yours, then you might not know. You might not have become the person you are, or you might not be the person that you could be.
Yeah, and who's to say as well, if you met the perfect person, that you would even be their perfect person anyway, and that they wouldn't be compromising something to be with you, because they might see like little flaws in you and you'd hope that they would overlook them because they're perfect to you. But
yeah, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Good way of thinking about it.
I know. Well, that's what we do on the podcast. We get down to the nitty-gritty.
Expand our minds.
Yeah, that's it. My next question is, what is your go-to perfect date?
Go-to perfect date. Right, well, I'm not a serial dater, to throw it out there. So I enjoy going for like a drink.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say perfect, but I would always normally offer out, right, let's go for some cocktails, try a place that I've not tried before. So I rarely go to the same sort of place.
Yeah, might bump into some old flames.
Oh my God, yeah, I've got a story. I did take, when it comes to food, I've got this favourite Thai place in Coventry.
Oh yeah,
and,
in Coventry?
Well, that's where I'm from.
Oh right,
where
obviously.
I'm from. So I've actually taken 3 different girls there. 2 were girlfriends, and then like 1 was someone on a date. And the guy that was on this made our till, like did the, when you have to pay for it, the till. One of my girlfriends was on a reality TV dating show. So she was well known. And then we'd broken up, and I brought someone on a date there like a while later, and we were paying for it, and I was standing next to this girl, and this guy went, "Oh yeah, I didn't realise last time you were in here, you were in with this person. We had 2 people that had seen your stories and come in and were like asking for photos with this girl." And then the date was just stood there like, "Oh, cool."
Getting totally mugged off by this guy.
This is your usual place then. I was like, oh.
Oh my God.
And then the next time I went in to pick a takeaway up, the same guy was like, "I am so sorry. Like, I didn't even think." I was like, oh. But so normally I'd say cocktails. I am quite competitive. Yeah. So I would like an activity.
I love an activity.
I know what I'm like. Yeah. I'd love to do activities, like the wilder the better.
Yeah.
But if it was like, let's just say, thrown out there, like go-karting, I'd be so competitive.
You'd come across so badly.
Yeah, that's why I try and avoid that.
Yeah.
And, I'm 10 times funnier after, 3 gin and tonic. So normally I just stick to cocktails.
Here's a question though. Do you think you're 10 times funnier, or do you think that you just think you're 10 times funnier when actually you're not?
No, I'm definitely funnier. I get a lot brave. It's like you get a bit, you get the Dutch courage, liquid courage. Yeah, because I'm quite out there as a person anyway, but I can be quite conservative at times and be like a bit more introverted.
Are you a bit shy?
Yeah, as soon as I have that like double gin and tonic, then it's like, right, the extrovert me comes out, and I'm just all over the place. So it's probably getting laughed at rather than laughed with, to be honest. But
yeah. I mean, that's, I think, what happens to me.
Yeah, I normally make it to date too, so it can't be that bad.
Oh, God. And I loved your story about, was it a Thai restaurant?
Yeah, big up the Blue Orchid over in Cov.
Love that. They're sponsoring the episode. What is your funniest date story apart from this one?
Oh, right. You ready for this one?
I'm so ready.
Right. Okay. So this was at the same Thai restaurant.
No, it wasn't.
It was the same one. And it was a different girlfriend and a different date to the one that I've just mentioned. So I managed to, I'll give you the high detail first.
Okay.
So I managed to give a first date the 2 things she was allergic to.
No.
In the space of 2 minutes. So we went to this Thai restaurant, as I've mentioned numerous times, and classic girl. She was there like, "Oh, I don't know what to have. You just order me whatever you have." So I was like, perfect. This is great. Chicken pad Thai. It's the dream. Yeah. Can't go wrong.
Amazing.
She's going to love it. So comes along, starting eating it. And then she just goes, "Oh, but by the way, does this have peanuts on?"
Duh.
And I was like, "Yeah, darling, it's got peanuts sprinkled all over it." And then she went, "I'm allergic to peanuts."
Shut up.
I was like, sorry. I was like, "Sorry, what?" She's like, "Yeah, that's one of the things I'm allergic to." So I was like, "Okay, Alex, keep it cool. Do not panic." She's like, "I haven't got anything to like really take." So I was like, "I always have in my pocket sulfidine because I am celiac, so I'm allergic to gluten."
I'm a celiac.
Are you?
Yeah.
God, we've got so much in common, Maddie. Maybe what are you doing next week? Should we go to this Thai restaurant that I know?
Yeah, I really heard about this great Thai restaurant in Coventry.
So I gave her this like half a sulfadine, and I was like, right, this stuff can cure a broken leg. You'll be fine.
Oh God.
So then we carry on. And then I think she actually got a new pad thai without the peanuts on, actually. They were actually pretty good. And then about 2 minutes later, she goes, oh, by the way, this sulfadine that you gave me, does it have codeine in?
Oh God.
So I like get the packet out, read it, and I'm like,
yep.
Yeah, it's actually one of the main ingredients. And she was like, that's the second thing I'm allergic to. I was like, oh my God. Manuel, come over here, call 911, 999. We're going to have a woman down here. So it wasn't ideal, but to be fair to her, she did troop her on. She was a little swollen in the face and a little red face.
God.
But we carried on with the night. And she actually ended up becoming my girlfriend.
You're lying.
But yeah, I know. So we got through the early challenges that you might face on date one. But then, I mean, the last laugh was on her for all of that, because she did end up cheating on me. So I always joke with her that, was it because we're friends now, by the way? Yeah. She was like, was it because I managed to give you the two things you're allergic to and gave you a swollen face that you did that?
I just can't believe that she agreed to go out with you again after you poisoned her twice in a row.
I mean, I must have been just so funny after that second gin and tonic.
Exactly.
She was like, oh, at least you made me laugh.
Oh, wow. That is a really good one. I don't think anyone's ever poisoned me on a date before. I've been trying to think, but no, I think I've actually been pretty lucky there. So.
Well, if you want to get poisoned, tell them to come to me, because I've done it twice. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a few questions, because obviously in Lovestruck High, you went back to high school, you had to relive your experience of high school, and I wanted to know what advice you would give your younger self. So I've got a few categories and we can run through them, but the first one is, what advice would you give your younger self, having gone back and done high school again? What advice would you give your younger self in regards to love and dating?
So when I went to high school, I actually went to an all boys school.
Did you?
It's a bit different for me. Yeah, we merged at sixth form, so for year 12 and 13, so that's like college years.
Yep.
But if I was to go back there now, I would say do not be shy and get to know as many people as possible, because that's one thing I was surprised about or enjoyed about doing Lovestruck High, was hearing everyone's stories about where they grew up, like how they came out, their past relationships, how they've been like treated. And I remember being quite closed off when I was at school. I would try to be, when we were in year 12, I had a small group of like lad friends. And even then we didn't really talk like that. It would just be like, we'd be gaming together, or, you know, we'd play football together. And I didn't really know too much about them, like in depth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting after going to Lovestruck High to appreciate how diverse people's backgrounds are, and, you know, the stories they've got compared to what you've had, and how they have grown up and in different situations, and, you know, what life cards they were dealt with, and like where they are now. So I'd be more inquisitive, I don't know the word, to find out more about people and, you know, connect with people on a more deeper level than maybe just your standard obvious stuff.
And I guess that's something really cool about the show, is that you probably wouldn't have had the chance to interact with all those different kinds of people from all walks of life unless you did something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's one thing we all said. And you know, when you look at the cast on that, we all say it on the group chat, like we're all a bunch of misfits with our own little niches and our own quirks. But that's what makes, like, well, we think what makes us interesting. And that's what there's a talking point. And that's what was really nice, to kind of ask questions with people, and, you know, people tell their stories. And it was just a really pleasant, you know, conversations you were having with people.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And what advice would you give your younger self in regards to sex?
Don't panic about it too much.
Okay.
Because obviously I went to an all boys school.
Yeah.
So I didn't kiss a girl till I was about 17.
Really?
And then I joined, and I think I lost my virginity when I was 17 as well. 17? Yeah, I hadn't quite turned 18. It was the back end of being 17, I think. And I went to a new school in year 13. So I was 17 at the time. I'm the youngest in the year, so I'm July 29th. And it was a big group of lads that I'm friends with now. And they were all really early like in that sort of area. That was a mixed school.
Yeah.
So it was boys and girls, but the boys specifically were like when they were 14, 15. And it was like me and one other lad that hadn't.
Yeah.
And it was just felt like so much pressure at the time. And you kind of work yourself up to it. And I actually met a really nice girl, my first girlfriend.
Yeah.
And, it was all fine. But the whole build up to it of like the talking stage, I just remember being under so much pressure. Lads being lads, they were asking me like every time that, every week or every day, they'd be like, oh, have you not seen it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I remember just being a bit overwhelmed at that sort of stage. And then it was a really pleasant experience for me, like, afterwards, like I was not bothered about it. But, the anticipation of anything, the anticipation is always worse than what actually happens.
Yeah, I reckon that would happen a lot at boys' schools because if you don't, like, get socialised, how are you meant to meet anyone?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And outside of school, like I said, I only really kept with a small group of lads at my old school, and we just like really played Xbox.
Yeah.
I wasn't the same sort of person I was now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was quite not as extroverted or not as out there with wider friendships groups.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely say, and if you're a lad as well, part of a group, don't be putting pressure on each other, be more supportive. And not just in the sex realm, but in like everything of growing up, you know what I mean?
I remember that pressure as well. Even as a girl, I felt it in school, just like wanting to be like mature and like wanting to fit in with all the other girls that were kind of like had boyfriends and had been doing all that stuff. And it was so intense.
Did you find it similar to relating to, like high school and, the theme of Lovestruck High? When you watch a lot of these high school films or series, do you find your experience similar to that in the sense of, one, I wanted to wait for someone, I wanted to be the right person? Or do you think that's more American televisionized, whatever the word would be? Or is it not actually like that when it comes to girls?
I felt like a pressure to just get it done, I think. I remember when like the opportunity came up and I was kind of like seeing a guy that I'd liked for ages and I was just sort of like, right, let's do this. Like just get it done. I wasn't like,
right.
I wasn't,
get your trousers off,
right,
let's get this done.
Let's just get this over with. Like I wasn't like, so I didn't like, it didn't have to be him. And like, I think I, liked him and stuff, but it was more just like getting it done so I could like be cool or something.
Yeah.
But then maybe that's different for a lot of girls. I don't know. Maybe that was just my friendship groups. I mean, everyone has such a different experience with it, don't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just remember it being pressurized, but like very anticlimactic. Once it's done, like no one ever mentioned it again, and it was more like a a virginity thing. It's like no one ever mentions it. It's like, all right, cool, and then it's like you're on to the next stage of life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like there's so much build up, and then once you actually do it, it's like you could not care less. It's just done.
Yeah, exactly. You're there like waiting, like what? Do I not get a medal at the end of this? What? It's like, like the world's still spinning. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's so strange, I guess. And it's just so strange to think because that part of our lives is obviously over. But there's kids right now that are going through that. Like how strange
100%.
is that they're feeling that right now. But I wonder if it's easier or harder now that they've got social media and all of those things we were saying earlier. Like, do you think it would be easier or harder now?
I mean, I think I would like to say with social media, everyone's more connected, but you can't help but feel that is not really the case. And everyone's probably more disconnected because they're on their phone and they're not actually speaking in person. It's like you can't have sex through Snapchat, can you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can send nudes.
Yeah, you can do that, but you can't actually do it. You know what I mean? So I would say it would be easier because the channels of communication's there. But I do feel people see each other less, if I'm being honest, than what they probably did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And even with lockdowns probably made it a bit...
Yeah, I was going to say that. Do you think everyone would have been like 18 when they lost their virginity over COVID because they had to wait 2 years?
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to say, yeah, but I probably harder. And I do think it's just easier, to sex on the phone.
And less scary, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't end up meeting. So I'm trying to think, like, I remember as a kid, before I'm a bit older, I think, than a lot of people. I'm like 27 now.
Yeah.
But when I was like early teens, even mid-teens, I wouldn't even have a ringing people up. I'd have a phone. I might send a text, like, but you just go around someone's house and you'd be out all day. Whereas now I'd never dream of doing that. It's like, God, I can deal with people in small doses, but if you've not booked in 4 days in advance, then it looks like I'm not going to meet you. So, and it's like meeting up just to go out and about, really. And going back to the phones thing, I feel like a lot of people meet now just going out for meals rather than chilling at people's houses because of this social media thing. And it's like, if we're not doing anything interesting, what's the point of doing it? Because we can't put a story up or we can't put a post up. So I do feel like when people meet now, and I'm a sucker for it as well. Like I meet up with people and I could easily just be like, right, let's go for a walk, or let's go and chill around your house. We'll just like watch a film or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm there like, right, well, let's go for a meal. Or let's go to this place, knowing full well that I just want to put something interesting on there.
Yeah.
And for me to do it, and I'm not that arsed with social media, to be honest, to an extent, I can imagine a lot of people think that way, that really try and portray an image.
Yeah, it's so depressing, isn't it? Like, but I mean, I definitely fall into that trap as well. It's like you could easily just go, and I feel like I used to go around to my friends' houses without even calling or texting. I would just go there and see if they were there, and then if they were home, I'd be like, want to hang out.
Young people that listen to this probably going to be mortified. But I remember getting on a bike and biking like 20 minutes just to like see if my mate was in, for his mum to be like, nah, he's not, to then bike all the way back.
Bike home and then jump on the PS1.
PS1. I'm not that old, Jesus.
I had a PS1. I'm only 28.
Yeah, to be fair, I do. Yeah, I do.
Oh, God. And what advice would you give your younger self in regards to family?
Oh, so family, it depends what age, but if I was younger self, I'd be there like, make every minute with your grandparents count, and your mother and father as well. I unfortunately have lost my grandparents on my mum's side, and I was quite young when, and my sister had more of a relationship. She's 5 years older. Yeah, but my granddad was like really interesting. He's like now like everyone just looks up to him. He's like idolized him in the family. But I was probably at that age where I was just a bit too young. And he was very like similar to me, a really interesting man. We would get along really well now. Yeah. And it is just a massive shame that I wish I knew what I knew now. Yep. When I was 10. Yeah. And then I could have those conversations. So I'd really say when it comes to family, make the most of your grandparents, and then also spare a thought and try and put yourself in your parents' shoes, in the sense of if you're moaning about school or doing stuff, they're doing what they can to help you. And I think about my mum, who raised me and my sister. Obviously my dad's in the picture, my sister's dad's not, we've got different dads. But we always used to live basically 7 days a week at my mum's. Yeah. And she used to raise us all off a small salary, used to do whatever she could. She had my granddad help her out, but she used to run everyone around. I never didn't do anything like a sports team or anything like that. Yeah. She always found way to do that, and she always adapted to deal with my sister as well. When she was 5 years older, obviously she was going through her teenage stages and, you know, all that, what that entails. And it's only as I'm at that age now where I can really have more emotional intelligence to think about what people do, and you understand what some of the parents go through. And, you know, you hear stories from people about what their parents sacrificed, stuff like that. Yeah. And you just think, could I have made my mum's life or my dad's life a bit easier, rather than moan about doing homework and forcing them to spend an hour for me to answer back, or moan about not doing homework? Could I have just done it? There's no real skin off my nose. I would have done it anyway, but is there more I could have done? Yeah, definitely. Just to make their life easier, because they're only doing their best. And and one big thing with me is, I get scared about the future of, if I have kids, is that my life over? Am I just thinking of I just doing that? Is that what my focus is? And I just think my parents have given up so much for me to waste their time when they've got a life as well. They don't just need to cater to my every single need. So yeah, they're probably my two biggest ones, the grandparents and the consider your own parents and what they do for you.
The hindsight is so powerful, isn't it? And
absolutely.
Even knowing that my mum was 27 when she had me, or 28 when she had me, and I'm 28 now. And I just think like, oh my God, you've you really have to just learn as you go with parenting. Because like,
and
how could she have known? Like, how could she have known what to do? Like, I don't even know how to fucking look after myself. I'm like,
I know, tell me about it. My mum said
hell?
something to me like a couple of months ago, and it's so true. She went, there is no handbook for adulting. No one knows how to do it properly. You just kind of make it up and find out as you go along.
Yeah.
And it is so true. And there's no right way to do anything. There's no right way to grow up. There's no right way to parent. But it's kind of, you're in it. You have your support network, and you just go as you go along. You don't make the same mistake twice. And I can relate to what you're saying in the sense of my mum had me at 30, but she had my sister at 25.
Yeah, 25 so young to me as to be a mom. It's crazy.
Well, my sister has got 3 kids, and her first one, she was 19 when she had Demi. So yeah, she was 18 when she got pregnant. So I just think now, like my niece is, what, 13?
Yeah.
And that is wild to me. Like, I remember being 11 so vividly, and my whole life since 11. And that is just wild to me. So for my sister to have 3 now as well, I'm a bit like, wow.
Powerful lady.
I know. I'm still spending every weekend getting drunk and scraping my life together on a Sunday.
God, don't even talk to me about this. I've got anxiety. Oh, God. And what advice would you give your younger self in regards to friendship? So I know you said earlier that you wish that you'd sort of spoken to your friends a bit more and like asked them about themselves and how they feel about things. And I know that that is so hard for men as well. I think as women, I've always felt very close to my friends. I've had deep like female friendships, and even with my gay male friends as well. I feel like it can be a bit easier. But what else would you say in regards to friendship? What would you tell your younger self?
So I'm going to say 2 little things here.
Okay.
One would be to do with school. I was one of those that I didn't have a fully solid friendship group. I was in and out and everything. Like, I played sport, so I was friends with the sports people. I was quite smart, so I spoke with like, you know, the other people in the class, like you'd say the nerdy ones, if you were going to stereotype. And then I also was like head boy, so that was like voted in. So I kind of got along with everyone. I got along with like the teachers. So I always felt like I had to try and impress every single group. So I had to, if the sports people were doing something, I had to go at lunchtime and go and do that. And it was like, do I really want to be their friend? Do I really like them that much? No, I actually didn't really like many of them. But because I had that sport one, a tribute next to me, I felt like I had to really impress that. And that's probably why I didn't really get to know in detail many people, because I was trying to be on general friendship terms with like everyone.
You're spreading yourself thin across everyone.
And I really should have focused in on the people that I genuinely did like at face value, and probably spent more time on them and build those relationships. And that's probably why when I did change school when I was 17 in my final year, they're now my friends group, because I spent more time with them. And, I didn't really come from a solid friends group in my old school. So I'd probably say, don't put a face on and, try and make meaningful connections rather than try and impress everyone that you probably don't even like anyway. That would be my first one. And the second one's probably a bit older, but it would, and it's probably more of a modern thing now, but with the mental health thing, being more supportive with your friends. I know we have group chats now, and we didn't back then when I was at school, but for kids that probably are in that range, that are going through, the teenage into young men or women stage of 16, 17, 18, what I found is I was in a pretty bad place last year. It was actually, I'm going to say that bad, but after the show, you get voted off, and I was quite down about it. And I really did message my friends and say, listen, I'm not feeling great. I did a big message to them, and they were so supportive.
Really?
And it sounds that there was a lot more to it than that, but people might think you only did a show and blah blah blah. But there was other stuff as well. But they were so supportive. Each one of them messaged me individually. They held me a surprise birthday party, because I actually came back on my birthday. I'll have to send you the video. I got sent home on my birthday.
Oh my God.
I missed my whole birthday. I know. So at the weekend,
no.
but my best friend booked off the whole next day and spent it with me. And then the following day, one of my friends invited me around his house for dinner, but all my friends were there, and they did like big confetti, like cannons, and they made a big night out of it.
Bless them. That's so nice.
Exactly. It was so good. And since then, a few of my other friends have had some troubles with it, relationships or other issues. And we've all just banded together on this group chat and, pulled everyone through and put really nice messages, lots of phone calls. And I've really noticed in the last year, my friends have been a lot more open about their feelings and, you know, their mental health, and something that we just never would have thought of.
Yeah.
Even 5 years ago, me and my mates never would have talked about that sort of stuff.
And you know what? I reckon as well, it's something you notice when you go through a breakup as well. So I went through a really bad breakup last year in like April, so about a year ago. And like just the support network that you get from your friends when you reach out and you're like, I am struggling, is so
100%.
amazing. And you just appreciate your friends so much more. And I think, like what I was saying before, I'm so busy all the time and I can't really be bothered going on dates. I'd rather meet people out. But it's also just like I'm enjoying spending time hanging out with my friends, and just like I don't want to hang out and go on a first date with some random that I don't know anything about. I'd rather just hang out with my mates, you know, because I think
absolutely we're on such the same page at that. Like I had a really bad breakup as well. I had really bad anxiety for like 2 weeks where I didn't really sleep. It was that time I got like cheated on, and all my friends were there for me.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that came down. He was studying a master's in Newcastle, and he came all the way down to Coventry, which is like 300-400 miles, from ridiculous.
To go to the Blue Orchid.
Yeah, well, to go to the club with me there, but he made the effort to come down, and even those sort of small gestures. But what you were saying about spending with your friends, that's another bit of advice. I've never been one to chase a relationship. They've all just happened because either spontaneously or by chance. And I do feel like people feel the need, if they do want to be in a relationship, to like chase it. But I'm one of those, I'd rather, like you said, go out with my mates. And if you meet someone, you meet someone.
Yeah.
But if you don't, your priority is having a night out with your mates, or, you know, going to a festival with your mates. And that's the people you want to be around with. That's the people you want to spend your time with, because they are your friends. So I totally agree with that. And if you can build those relationships with your friends, they're the most meaningful things.
So
and I often look at my parents, or like older, I don't want to say old people, but, you know, older generations.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, is that going to be me and my friends, where my stepdad only speaks to like one person and my dad like only speaks to a couple of people? And you think, how does that happen when I've got a group of about 12 people? When? And it really, I think I've said this to my group openly, and I've been like, can we really make the effort? And we do. We always say birthdays are no excuse. So you've got to show up for someone's birthday.
Yeah. And
Christmas and New Year. Well, New Year's obviously with girlfriends, but Christmas we do like a lads event.
That's good.
The Saturday before Christmas.
Yeah.
Which is like always in the diary. So we're there like, right, let's make the effort, because we don't really want to drop off and, you know, in 20 years only be going to, you know, speaking up with one person every 4 months.
I guess it must change when you have kids and stuff, just with priorities. But like I was talking 100%. To my friend Zaya the other day, because every time she lives in Derby and I go up and visit her sometimes, so she'll come down to London, and we always sleep in the same bed. Like she has a boyfriend, but we do like back scratches and like, I'm like, when is it weird to like, because my mum doesn't lay in bed with her friends and they don't do back scratches. And I'm like,
you never know. You'll have to ask her.
Maybe she does, but I'm like, Zaya, can we just promise that we will always do this? And she was like, yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to be 50. I'm going to be in the nursing home giving Zaya a back scratch.
Oh, no. Do you know what? I have those fantasies of being like, do you know what? If we're that old, we'll be that group of people where there's like 6 of us just going to a pub. We'll all be old blokes.
Yeah.
And we'll just sit there on a Saturday looking at all like the young people in spoons coming in, ordering their pictures and being like, that used to be us. And it still is, to the club.
Yeah, God, I really hope that's me. I mean, yeah, it's just, it's weird to think that maybe you wouldn't be as close to the people you are now, but it happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's a quick bit of advice you tell yourself from those sort of categories, or what's the main bit of advice looking back?
I mean, do you know what? I probably should have thought more about this before
right, now you're in the spotlight.
On the podcast, but I don't know. I guess it would be more about like just not waiting so long to do things and not waiting for things to happen to you, because I think I waited a long time to move to London because I was...
Oh my God, you've taken the words out of my mouth.
Really?
Carry on.
Yeah,
I've just done the same, haven't I? I've just moved here in May, and the thing I can think of is I cannot believe I've waited till I'm 27 to do it.
Yeah, and I moved here 5 years ago, but before that I was in a relationship for 5 years, and he was like one of my closest friends and in the friendship group and stuff, and I didn't really know how... Because I sort of knew that I wanted to move abroad and, you know, have an exciting career and, you know, travel and all these fun things. But I couldn't I just kind of assumed it would happen. And then once I eventually bit the bullet.
Tomorrow never comes, does it? Until you actually do it.
So I think, I mean, I did it and it was fine, but I think it was just something that gave me anxiety for so long. So I was like, fuck, how am I going to get out of this situation and into the next without having to go through this traumatic process of breaking up and saying bye to my family and moving and
5 years as well. It's almost like you're not even just breaking up with them, you're breaking up with the family. Oh, there's more to it, isn't it? When it's like that.
It's a lot. But yeah, I think just that. And then probably in school, I feel like I had a pretty good time in high school. Like I was kind of a nerd, but I had close mates and stuff. I had a nice little boyfriend. Like I think I actually kind of nailed it. Yeah, like
fair play.
Yeah,
fair play. You did well.
Okay. Yeah.
So would you be the same sort of person do you feel you'd be the same sort of person if you were in Lovestruck High that you were at school? Because I was totally different.
I think this is so vain, but I used to be really, really ugly.
Same.
When I was in like year 12, I just like went on the pill, decided to be hot, got boobs, decided to become hot. And I was like, do you know what? That was easy. Why have I waited so long to be hot?
I remember because at school I used to look like an unhealthy mix of Augustus Gloop from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Ellen DeGeneres. No. So merge those two together, that would be me.
It sounds
and then
nice.
I remember after my first year at university, I was like, right, screw it. I need to stop going out 5 days a week. Straw pedo in 3 BKs for a $5 every other night.
God.
So let's just get to the gym, sort myself out. And over that summer, I literally blasted the gym. I'd already been going to the gym anyway, so I'd already got a bit of muscle, but I'd got like puppy fat above it. And I literally lost all this fat. I came back to uni during freshers my second year, and I was like a fresher rep, so I had to like take everyone out. And everyone was just like, "Oh my God,
who are you?
When did you get fit? Like, who are you?" And I just lost all my puppy fat, and I just had this baby face, blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah. And everyone was like, "Who the hell are you? Where did you come from?" And then, and then ever since then, I was like, God, why didn't I do this when I was about 15?
Exactly.
Why did I wait till I was 19 to do it?
Honestly, and I look back at some of the stuff I used to wear as well. Like I used to only.
Oh, don't.
It was like a thing in my school to only shop at vintage shops but old op shops and stuff. I know, but honestly, the stuff I used to wear, like I can't, like just grandma cardigans. Like I looked cool. I guess, like in a way, but it was just so bad. Like I'm just wearing old people clothes at all times, and I'm like, girl, you need to do better.
No, yeah, I often for the lols sometimes just go into my Facebook tag photos from like 2008-9, and I just think, oh, what? Why did I buy that? Or even worse, why did my mum buy that for me?
And my last question is just advice you'd give yourself in regards to work or passions or travel. So I know you said recently that you wish you hadn't waited to move to London, but is there anything else that, in terms of like traveling or just like your career, like what would you tell yourself when you're finishing uni and sort of starting that period of your life where you can do anything you want?
Yes, this is a big one for me because I actually got myself into a bit of a apprehensive anxiety spell over the last year over this, and I actually wrote a few articles that I posted on like a journal article on a website of mine, which a lot of people related to. And I was one of those that did 3 years at university and got offered a graduate scheme, and didn't do a gap year, didn't do a year in industry. So I wasn't even 21 when I graduated. I think I was still 20 because I was like quite young, straight into this. And ever since then, I've been so jealous of people that have worked abroad. I've got my best friend works in Ibiza every year. He's worked in Marbella and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I used to really struggle when it got to summertime, seeing all my friends doing all this fun stuff. And I was in this corporate job. And I always told myself, once I was qualified accountant, I'll take a sabbatical. And I never did. And then I was like, right, I got to the age of about 25. And I'd always moan, like, I wish I would have done a year in a gap year. I wish I would have done traveling. I wish I would have done this. And it was always like, I'll do it at some point. Everyone was like, you're still young. And then COVID hit. And I said, right, I'm going to do 6 months in Marbella. I went, I'm taking the sabbatical. I'm going to do it. And I eventually set it up in my head, I was setting up for 2021, so last year. And the back end of 2020, I was all set on doing it. I told my manager, he was like, yeah, okay, it's fine. And then it got to February and we were like still in lockdown in the UK.
Yeah.
And I had to make the decision, or it was like January, I had to make the decision,
yeah.
am I going to commit to this? And I might not get the experience that I wanted because, you know, if we're still in Marbella and no one can go out there, will I still get what I want? I'd got enough money that I could survive if I didn't really have to work, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I was going to get like a little job out there, you know, do all the stuff that you probably do when you're 19, get a bar job, because I need to get out of my system.
Yeah, yeah.
And I made the decision like, do you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Get the experience that I want. So I ended up buying a house because my mum was like, you best move out then because you can't keep staying here. I kept using the COVID excuse to just stay and have her cook dinners.
Oh, love that. And also just saving so much money. Like I was hemorrhaging money in COVID, just sitting inside my shitty ex-council estate flat in Hoxton. And it was like, why?
Oh, I know.
Why?
That's the only reason I got to buy the house that I did was because I literally was not going to the Slug and Lettuce every weekend and spending like 200 quid.
Not the Slug and Lettuce.
Oh, the one in Coventry, shout out the Slug and Lettuce in Coventry. It's like a club. It's not even like a normal Slug and Lettuce. Like it is a club. It's so good. But so anyway, the point of the story was I ended up buying the house and I just felt so robbed of that period of my life of the traveling, and I just felt very committed. Like, you know, you've got this big commitment now of a mortgage, 25 years or whatever. Yeah. And it just sent me in a panic frenzy.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big reasons. Yeah, that was one of the big reasons I said, right, if I'm not going to be able to go traveling, I am going to just move and just do something totally different. And I accepted doing the Lovestruck high because I was like, right, well, if I'm not going to get a summer abroad, I may as well have a fun month of just an experience. Yeah. So if I can't get the experience of Marbella, let's do something fun that not many people get to do. And I also made the decision, right, I'm going to move to London. I've said I'll always do a stint in London. I'm such a city boy. But like this, I'll do it eventually. Like never came. The tomorrow never came. Yeah. So I thought, do you know what? Whilst I've got no ties, whilst I've only got the mortgage, but I can rent it out. The market was like good. So I literally net even. I thought, screw it, take the risk. Why don't you just do it now? You're still in your 20s. So I did it, and I've never looked back. And I wish I would have done it earlier. Yeah. But my big thing of my advice to myself would be looking back at my London move and how much I've loved it. I should really have just not quit my job, but really made the effort to have booked out even 3 months at some point.
You still can. You still should. Yeah, you're only 27. Absolutely. Like you literally, I feel like you can do that.
Oh no, I definitely will. Yeah. I definitely will. But it is the 5 years that I wasted of mulling it over and just being like apprehensive and, you know, moaning about not having the opportunities that friends did. Even though I was very grateful I had got this graduate job. Yeah. My advice to myself would be just do it. You know, you're always going to get a job, or you're always going to be able to come back to the same job again. And people were telling me that. People took a year out at my company, and I saw them like a year later, and they said, "Oh yeah, I just got my job back." Just like messaged the manager, and they were fine with it. Yeah. So it was all those years wasted of mulling it over. I'd just say, just do it. And like you said, just really, just, you know, I think you just took the words out of my mouth earlier.
There's always a reason to not do something, isn't there? Like there's always, I think even starting this podcast, I was like, oh, but it's embarrassing, or oh, what if it's not good, or what if it doesn't do well? And then it's like, it's just like my favorite thing ever, you know? It's like I put it off for like a year, and then I was so bored in COVID. I was like, right, let's just do it. Whatever.
You know, you've literally done something that I would have loved to have done, and you probably made it to the top 0.1%, because 99% of people that have had that thought haven't done it. So you're in the top 1% for just starting, and then you've probably made the top 0.01%, because a lot of people probably would have dropped off after
and
the first
kept
two
doing it,
because they thought it was embarrassing, or they would have eventually let those thoughts get to them, like, oh, I've not got 10,000 subscribers in the first 3 days, so it's not going to be successful. So you are well ahead of the game by doing it, and the fact that you love it is just amazing. And you know, it makes you got that fulfilling, you know, it feels like you're adding value and you're fulfilled and you've got the purpose, haven't you? So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Keep it up.
This was such a nice chat. I feel like I don't want to hang up, but we've run out of time now.
It goes so quickly when you're having fun.
I know. Well, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon. I hope you enjoyed my chat with the lovely Alex. Please let me know on my Instagram. It's at madsworld.mp3, or my website, madsworld.co, if you have any stories or thoughts of your own to share for the pod. Love and elbow taps. Peace.